What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 3 NFL picks and preview. As always, I got my guy Ethan joining me here to
Gotcha.
show his picks as we look to break down each game. But before we do, hit that subscribe button down below to be entered into our giveaway. And we'll start it off here with Ethan having a great week, 12
Oh
and
yeah.
4 last week, and
Oh yeah.
1 and 11 so far. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good start. They say if you can predict about 60% or higher, you're going to be pretty good at this. So far he's off and running where, I'm barely over 500, but we'll look to turn things around. But we'll
Yeah.
go back to last week. And what was probably the most interesting or biggest storyline that you took out of last week?
Well, man, that's tough. Cincinnati though, Joe Burrow. I'll go into Cincinnati because Joe Burrow's injured. 0-2 start, both home losses, I believe, weeks 1 and 2 against division opponents. So not a good start for Cincinnati. I think that's probably the biggest disappointment of this week.
For me, I'm going to go kind of the same way, but in a positive light. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals here. This team has played in two solid football games without a true starting quarterback. And Murray, I saw a video of him today. He's itching to get back on the field. And if they're playing competitive football and in every game, I think he will be that difference maker and could be a scary team to watch out for in the second half of the season. And then we have our week 2 locks of the week, our first video that we've done this before, and we're going to keep doing this every week. Both of us going 3-2, obviously, last week. So the 5-teamer parlay would not hit if we did that last week. But stay tuned for this week's bets. And we got
Yeah.
this. Here's what we got. I got under in the Green Bay and Saints game, over in the Chargers Vikings, and then you can see those spreads there or what I'm taking. And Ethan, why are you going with what you're going with?
See, Thursday night football, my thought, you got to have a little bit of forecasting here. My thought is going to be a Thursday night football, Giants 49ers is going to be a low scoring game. I know the 44 is already a very low number to start with, but I'm going to go under that. Tennessee, I think they're gonna make this game close. So +3.5. New England -2.5 at the Jets. The Jets are just Zach Wilson's just looked terrible. And Seattle need a win here this week. And then Tampa Bay has looked pretty solid with Baker Mayfield at the helm. So I'm gonna ride with them this week.
And we'll jump into that Thursday night football game we were talking about. Obviously, the big storyline was Saquon getting hurt last week, and he already has been ruled out for this one. But Ayuk is a game time decision, so look out for that for you fantasy owners. And I think it will be a little miss if they miss him, but they still have Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, and
Right.
it's obviously been great. So I'm going with the Niners here at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Niners as well. Giants didn't look great at all in the first half of last week game against the Arizona Cardinals, and they were panicking. But very good second half from Daniel Jones and the offense to make that a game, and then ended up tying it and winning it. So a positive week, but I'm gonna still take the Niners here. They just are the better team, and it's a home game. They should be able to basically do whatever they want with them on the defensive side of the ball.
And then on Sunday, my Packers are home against the Saints, and I'm going with the Packers here. I think they need to rebound and prove that last week's fourth quarter blown loss wasn't a fluke, and this team should be 2-0 right now. And the Saints, though, have a great defense since Love's a really first true test against a really good defense. And, throwing 3 touchdown passes in the first two, I think he gets 2 this game, but this is where he's going to have to be mobile with his feet. And if he can do that, I think the Packers win this one.
Yeah, I think the Packers overall has a better roster, and if Jordan Love plays like he's been playing, which I think he will, I think he's been solid this year. So taking the Packers at home, it's going to be a tough environment for the Saints, and their offense just could not get going against Carolina. So they did squeak out of there with a win, and they are 2-0, which is positive, but they're going to need to get that offense going a little bit.
And then in a not so important game, I'm going with the Ravens here. Pretty simple. Richardson's out, Minshew's in, and the Ravens know what they're doing right now. They're playing some really good football.
Yeah, I think the Ravens should win as well. They should be able to run all over the Colts. Although last year Colts did beat the Chiefs in Week 3 around this time of year, so you never know. This time it is Colts on the road though, so I'm gonna stick with the Ravens here.
And then in our first disagreement this week, I'm going with Cleveland at home. I think, losing Nick Chubb is obviously a huge loss, but they're bringing in a veteran back that they've already had in the system in Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford looks like the guy moving forward no matter what. And, he had a spectacular game once Chubb went down. And it's really going to be whoever can run the ball better. And if they can do that, if it's a sloppy running game, I still like the Browns because they're more designed for that. And play action passes, if that happens, I'm trusting Deshaun more than Ryan Tannehill. So give me the Browns at home.
I think it's gonna go differently than what you think. I expect the Titans to be able to run all over the Browns this week and play action pass. DeAndre Hopkins hopefully has a good game. Browns have a great defense, but I think the Titans are just going to be playing tough. And Deshaun Watson, like what, 3 turnovers this week against last week against Pittsburgh, so did not look good. And I'm expecting the Titans to keep it rolling.
In a big game here for both of these teams, the Falcons look to stay undefeated, where the Lions look to revenge last week's overtime loss, and I think they will. It's going to be another close game for them, as the Lions, they love to play their close games. And I'm staying away from that 3-point spread, if I'm going to be honest. I think they win this one by 1 or 2, just
Mm-hmm.
because that's how the Lions win games nowadays. But, give credit to the Falcons for being 2-0 to this point, as they're going to look to try to run all over Detroit.
Yeah, Falcons 2-0 start is huge. Them and the Saints both are 2-0 in that division, so that's not really what we expected. Also, the Buccaneers, yeah, so that's not what we expected at all. This week, it'll come down to probably a game-winning field goal, and I'm going to give the slight edge to Detroit. This is going to be a really interesting matchup, though, in that 1 o'clock slate.
And not much needs to be said about this one. The Jaguars need a rebound and put up a lot of points after last week's debacle against the Chiefs. Couldn't get it done scoring in the end zone. But this week, I think they do. And I think they take the top off, and Lawrence has a big day. And give credit to Stroud. He's looked great for his first 2 games as well. Last week, putting up great numbers.
Yeah, definitely Stroud has looked good, but not good enough to help them win against the Jags this week. I think they're going to be playing fierce and they're going to be hungry for a win. I think they're going to get it.
Then at 1, you got the Broncos and Dolphins, 2 different storylines where the Dolphins are 2-0, Broncos are 0-2. And you might want to hit the panic button here if you're a Broncos fan. Last week blowing the huge lead, week 1 losing
Yep.
by 1, but they're in every game. They've lost their last 2 games by a total of 3 points. And that's what concerns me here with Miami. I don't think Miami runs away with this one at all. It'll be a close game, but I think they do win this one.
Yeah, now that you mention that, I think on my locks, I'm gonna have to put Denver on there plus 6.5 because they just play close games, and I think Denver's gonna keep it close. I do obviously have Miami winning, but I think Miami's offenses look great. Don't count out the Broncos. They're in desperation mode. If anything, if it's time to win, it needs to be now. So it's gonna be close, but I got the Dolphins.
And then on Fox, this is just a straight pick 'em game. And, the Vikings
Yeah.
actually just acquired Cam Akers not too long ago. So we'll see if he suits up for this one. But I still like the Chargers. The Chargers, same old Chargers. You're moving that same old Lions over to the same old Chargers. 0-2
Yep.
start, losing heartbreaks last week in overtime, the week before on a field goal at the end of the game. And if they can't win this one, then you might see, honestly, a veteran getting moved, like Eckler possibly, because I know he's wanted to be traded, or Allen maybe, just because these guys want to go win somewhere. And if the Chargers lose this one, I think they might start looking towards that and kind of a sell now. But I don't think that happens. I think the Chargers offense is just too good for the Vikings defense.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to win this one. It really is a coin flip though. Definitely a coin flip. It's just I kind of trust Herbert more than Kirk Cousins, but then again, the Chargers always just seem to Chargers. So and this game's tough. I'm going to take the Chargers though.
Patriots, Jets, and the Patriots probably look like the best 0-2 team in my opinion so far. They've looked really good. The defense has stepped up when they needed to. It's just the offense can't get that last drive to go either tie the game or win the game. And I think that changes here going into Jet life. The Jets look awful with Wilson at quarterback. Last week they had one good play where Garrett Wilson took it to the house. But other than that, the offense is a lost cause. And Belichick. Belichick loves his creative game plans to stifle other teams. And I think that's what happens here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And that 2.5 line is kind of scary to me. I feel like that should be 5.5, 4.5, 5.5. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take New England, and I'm gonna take that spread as well.
And then I'm going with the Commanders at home, the good story of the year so far. Commanders 2-0 at this point, which I think is turning some heads. And I think it's going to keep rolling here in an upset win over Buffalo. Brian Robinson
Wow.
Jr. has looked like an absolute beast through these first 2 games. And I think they're going to ride his back in this one. And this Commanders team last week looked very good on defense when it mattered. And Chase Young Looks like he's fully healthy finally. Expect him to have a big day against the Bills.
Man, that's quite the upset pick. That's the upset of the week right there. I gotta take Buffalo. That is very intriguing though. Commanders, I could see it happening. That's great, but I think I'm gonna take the Bills in this one. It's more safe of a pick because you never know. Like the Bills could just go up 14-0 and just blow them out. So I'm gonna take the Bills.
Then moving to the 4 o'clock games. I'll actually be at this game, Carolina and Seattle. So I got to go with the home team in Seattle. And the Panthers offense looks not good. And Seattle just put up 37 on Detroit's really good defense last week. And I expect them to keep it rolling here in a high scoring Seahawks win.
Yeah, me as well. I think it's going to be a high scoring game for Seattle. If Carolina can play tough football and have that defense like they looked last week, then they have a shot. But I do think Seattle should win and they should score a lot of points.
And at 425, as I mentioned earlier, Arizona, this is where they need Kyler Murray. And unfortunately, they don't have him yet. So I got to go with Dallas here on the road. And not to be like mean or anything, but I think the Cowboys have the best overall team in football. And you can agree to disagree on that with the Niners and Eagles. But the way Dak's playing right now looks like he's going to have an MVP season. And Micah Parsons could possibly win Defensive Player of the Year and break the sack record. So if things keep trending in that direction and the Cowboys are 5, 6, 7-0, this Cowboys team, really might be Super Bowl or bust at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you there because their defense is loaded, man. Their whole team is just solid up and down the roster. They should definitely win this game. Cardinals playing tough football though, so I guess they could make it close, but I don't see that happening. I think the Cowboys should definitely walk all over the Cardinals this weekend.
And then in another blowout game, I think the Chiefs take care of business early and often. The Bears, blowing up today, firing the defensive coordinator, Fields calling out his coaches, but not technically his coaches. And it's already imploding after 2 games, waving the red flag. And I got to stay away from Chicago in every game at this point. So, Chiefs, they need to start scoring a lot of points. Everyone's fully healthy and back now. And I think this is the game where they put up 40.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They definitely. Hopefully, this is the game where Kelsey has his coming out party. One of those 200 yards receiving and 3 touchdown games. So I think the Chiefs should definitely blow them out this weekend.
And then moving to Sunday night, you got your Steelers going on the road to face Vegas. And I'm going with the Steelers as well in this one. If this offense can start to figure some things out, Matt Cannon, I'm going to say it now, he just needs to be fired. Get rid of him. Get someone else in there. Shoot, I'll go in there and just have Kenny Pickett throw it deep every time. But at this point, you have so many weapons outside. Deontay Johnson's obviously out, but it just feels like the Steelers need to let Pickett air it out and let him try to just if he makes a mistake, let him learn from it rather than cradle him still. And
yeah,
once the Steelers unlock their offense, I think this team is going to go from probably an 8-9 win team to possibly an 11-12 with that defense. And obviously TJ Watt just being an absolute beast.
Yeah, TJ Watt can just change the whole momentum of the game. And you really saw it against Cleveland, that with that touchdown, and that was really when the momentum shifted because that game was 22-19, something like that. Yeah, 22-19 in the fourth quarter, and until they got that touchdown. So the offense cannot. It just seems like they can't move the ball down the field, which they can't. Still think the defense is really good, and the Raiders have looked good. So I think this is gonna be a close game, but I think the Steelers will win it late in the fourth quarter.
Then moving to the first Monday night game, you're going with a big upset here in the Bucks, but I'm going with Philly. I think it's just another game Philly coasts to a win. I think they cover that spread as well, and I think they win comfortably here on the back of Hurts and AJ Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia 2-0, Buccaneers 2-0. You definitely didn't expect Tampa Bay to be here, but I think they've played just as good a football as the Eagles have this year. The Eagles, other than the first half of the New England game in week 1, they have not looked good. They have their secondary is clearly their main problem. So they didn't look good, and I think the Buccaneers can expose that. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers at home in an upset Monday Night Football, baby.
Then the last game of the week, Rams, Bengals. And if the Bengals somehow manage to lose this game, I cannot feel confident that the team's going to stay together at the end of this year. Higgins, obviously last year, his deal Mixon, Burrow just got paid. They need to pay Chase. So one of those weapons would probably go if this team is not competitive as we thought we would be. But I still think they're going to get the win here and get back on track. And it's a big game for both of these teams. You know, the Rams really looking like a better team than a lot of people thought. Puka, if they can get him at least, 10 catches like he has the last 2 weeks. And when Cooper Kupp comes back, if he does come back and alongside him and Puka, it's going to be tough to guard those guys. But the Bengals obviously don't have to worry about that now. So I like the Bengals.
Yeah, I like the Bengals as well. We really don't know if Joe Burrow is playing, so this is obviously subject to change. I think if Burrow doesn't play, I got to take the Rams. The Rams have looked good, 1-1, but a really good start compared to what we thought they were going to be. So I do like the Rams, and Bengals haven't looked good. So this is going to be a good game. But if you're a betting person, I would stay away from this game unless you feel very strongly for the Bengals or the Rams.
And that's going to be it for our picks this week. Make sure you guys check back next week to see how our picks did and as we break down all the games next week. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.